Hey guys, Trip here, and I've been thinking a lot about Morrowind lately. The third installment in the Elder Scrolls series, Morrowind was released in 2002 for the PC and original Xbox, and is widely regarded as the greatest installment in the franchise. Some may view it as aged and overrated, but few can disagree that the atmosphere and setting of the game are incredible. A few days ago on Reddit, there was a post asking why the Morrowind community is still so active after almost 14 years. What keeps people coming back? Why are there still mods being made for this game to this day? What is the source of this game's longevity? Well, let's take a look. I think it's due in large part to the way the world of Tamriel is presented in Morrowind. The excruciating level of detail, the strange alien world, and the incredibly immersive lore keep people coming back to this game after all these years. Morrowind is a flawed game, and it hasn't aged well without mods, but it's also without a doubt the deepest, most fully realized gaming experience I've ever had. But why is that? What about the world of Morrowind is so enthralling, so seductive, so incredible that it makes people feel this way? I've spent years trying to put it into words, and I think I've finally found an answer. The key word here is balance. Morrowind creates a fantasy world that is balanced in just the right ways, without compromising on creativity or accessibility. The world of Tamriel, as presented in Morrowind, is incredibly simple on a surface level. It's a high fantasy world ruled over by a Byzantine-style empire. The land of Morrowind is a country ruled by dark elves. They fanatically worship three living gods who may or may not be legit, and they fear an evil demon living in a volcano. Simple, right? This basic setup makes the world accessible, but if you dig a little deeper, there's more depth and detail than any other game world I've ever seen. The world of Tamriel has more lore, more content, more bits and pieces in it than even the Lord of the Rings. You could write essays on the history, religion, and cultural practices of not only Morrowind, but the entirety of Tamriel, just based on what was presented in this game. And people actually have. The world is both incredibly bizarre, alien, and insane, while still remaining relatable and natural. This is key to creating any fantasy world. Too often do writers make the world too normal, and forsake any sort of creativity along the way, invalidating the entire purpose of fantasy in my opinion. The opposite extreme, however, is to make a world that is so insane and maddening that you don't care about what happens in it. Instead of compromising both sides and reaching a middle ground, Morrowind manages to reach both extremes simultaneously, being both a very relatable, believable world and a strange alien fantasy world at the exact same time. This theme of balance and extremeness can be seen in every aspect of the game world. This is a game where people ride on giant ticks, where sorcerers live in giant mushroom towers, where farmers herd dinosaur and jellyfish like cattle, where thousand-year-old gods walk the earth, where poetry, myth, and belief have the power to change reality, where death cults have legal authority, where wood elves are cannibalistic shapeshifters, yet it still manages to remain believable within its own realm. You really get a sense of what a world like this would actually be like. You see how it affects the culture, the military, the political landscape, and you feel like you're living in the middle of it all. It's a hard thing to really put into words until you've sunk years into the game, but it's the only way I can describe it. So why did I decide to talk about this? Well, you guys know that when it comes to video games, I place just as much importance on the atmosphere, art style, lore, and role-playing aspects as I do on the actual gameplay. I wanted to bring this game to light because I want more developers to understand what makes a near-perfect fantasy world. I feel like developers are afraid to go where Morrowind went, to create a high fantasy world so unique, so strange, so detached from our own reality while still remaining relatable. Classic medieval fantasy has its place, but the fantasy genre can be so much more than that if you're willing to try, if you're willing to let your imagination guide you. I understand why developers are afraid to do this. It's risky. A lot can go wrong if you don't do things exactly right, but I think the benefits outweigh the risks. It's the difference between creating a setting that people forget about within a year and a world people will return to for decades to come. Morrowind is a testament to the potential video games have to create a fictional world that the player actually cares about, and no game since has managed to get me as attached to a world as Morrowind has. But hey, that's just my opinion.